Hi there, welcome back. I'm Martha Van Dam and this is Living Beyond. And this week, for the next 4 days, we're going to talk about some things that you can do, that I can do, that can help our minds and hearts now that we're in this time, have been in this time for the last several weeks of so much upheaval in the world. You would have to have been living under a rock for the last several weeks to not know that I'm talking about the tensions and then the fighting and the horrible and ugly atrocities that we've seen coming out of the Middle East. And I am not talking, and I will not talk about in any way in these conversations about the political ideas or the armies or the things that are happening there. What I'm concerned with, and what so many of other people that I'm hearing about are concerned with, are what the things that are happening to just the people like you and me who are just trying to live their lives, and suddenly they find their worlds are turned upside down. They are killed, family members are killed, their homes are destroyed, their businesses and jobs are destroyed, people that they know have been wounded or damaged or killed. There's been so much that's gone on, and it hasn't just been a little bit, it's been a lot. And to be honest, some of it has been so egregious and graphic that it eats at our souls because it's so painful to hear. So 4 days we're going to talk about this, but each day we're going to talk about one thing that you and that I can do to make this better for ourselves, and I believe ultimately put good into the world that makes it better for our communities and our world at large. So first, quickly, what I'm hearing from people is a much larger sense of sadness, a larger sense of frustration and hopelessness, because there's a sense, and I'll bet you felt it too, a sense of this is so bad, but what can I do? It's so bad, and we're so sad about it and horrified and, quite frankly, sometimes nauseous over some of the things we've heard, but then the next feeling is I'm stuck. There's nothing I can do. And that place of being aware of something horrible that has happened, is happening, will happen, something awful, and being helpless about it is a trapping sort of feeling place. We're feeling sad, we're feeling angry, we're feeling nauseous, we're feeling confused, and on top of all of that, helpless and hopeless about it getting better. So a bad combination. So 4 days, like I said, 4 days, and we're going to talk about things that we can do that can make it better. The first one is foundational, and it may to you feel like it's not that big of a deal. It may to you feel like horrific things are happening across the ocean, terrible things, and I'm asking you to do this thing, and this number one thing that's foundational is to take care of yourself right now. And I know you hear that everywhere. It's in every blog you read. It's in advertisements. It's everywhere. And so it may feel like, something you don't need to hear that again. But actually we do. And so I'm just going to give you 3 things today that I'm going to suggest you do right now, really focus on right now, because of this added strain and stress that we're hearing regularly. The first one is, and this is really important, to limit your media exposure, limit your news exposure. I'm going to strongly suggest that you don't leave that television on all day with news running all day long. The last thing on the planet you need to hear is a day, hours long trauma, hours long sad, all these horrible and sad images and words going into your ears all day long. You don't need it. I don't need it. And we don't need to hear it all day long in order to understand what's happening in our world. We really don't. So I understand there will be some people who will say, well, that's your privilege. Because you live in a privileged world, you can just turn off the unpleasantness if you don't want to hear it. That's right. And so what I'm saying is we are privileged in this country and in other civilized nations. We are privileged. We are not under attack. We don't have to run under our desks, into our bathrooms, into a hiding place away from people coming after us. That's true. And since that's true, then how smart is it of us to take care of ourselves the best way that we can, so that we can then be effective in a world that is broken and damaged? So turn off that news, except maybe once a day. You pick the time that is the right amount of exposure for you. But what I'm doing is listening to something, asking a question, maybe reading one little article once in a day. And usually what it looks like is I don't listen to anything all day long. And when I get home late in the day, I'll ask my husband, has anything happened today that I should know about? And he pretty often has an idea. He himself does not listen to it all day long either, but he may have finished with his day. He may have had on the news for a little while. He will likely tell me what has just happened today. And if there's not much, I may sit with him. We may listen to 30 minutes of news, but then it goes off. Because if you'll notice, most of the news channels take the stories that have happened in the last 24, 48, 72 hours, and they continue to repeat them ad nauseum all day long. A lot of that is because they know that people are going to be hearing it at different times, so they keep repeating it. Sometimes it's because they have a blank space and they need to fill it. Sometimes it's for ratings, all manner of reasons, but you may hear this literally. If you have the news on all day, you may hear the same story all day long, and all it does is serve to re-injure your senses every time you hear it. So cut that news out. One idea of a place to look if you're wanting to find where can I find news that's not going to be giving me news that's swayed to the different directions. There is a website called 1440. It's offers a daily newsletter. You can have it sent to your email if you want to, and it is their attempt is to be as unbiased as humanly possible. So it's the news, just the news. So that's a good place to read exactly what happened today without the extra stuff. The second thing that I want you to do today is I want you to get outside every day. As we deal, it's good for us anyway, but particularly when we're dealing with these extra stresses, get outside, go for a walk, a bike ride, a run, anything that can get you outside for a little while. And while you're out there, try to be mindful of where you are. Try to be mindful, look around, notice the blue sky that is still there no matter what is happening in the world, the clouds that are floating gently, no matter what is happening in the world. The trees, that the colors are beginning to change. In the northern hemisphere, we're in fall, and so we're beginning to see the beauty of a new season. Are there flowers in bloom? Are there animals that are interesting to watch? Get outside, breathe deeply, move some way or another with a walk, a run, a bike ride, and enjoy your time outside, and let that do some ministering to your spirit. Let it soothe and help heal you from the onslaught of bad images we have in our ears and our eyes and our mind. And then the third thing, I told you there would be three, so you're going to limit your exposure to the news, you're going to take walks or do something outside, some kind of movement, and you're going to get back in that gratitude journal. I want you looking for things that you can be grateful. And I don't care how bad our lives are, if we look far enough, we can find a few things that we can be grateful for. So what I would suggest, I like to do, is to find three things. Sit down with that journal, and it can just be an old notebook or something like that to write in, but find three things that day, three things that you've been able to find in the last 24 hours that you can be grateful for. And write those down. The next day, come write three more. The next day, three. Don't limit yourself to three. If you come up with more, right, keep writing. Just don't make it cumbersome so that you won't pick it up again the next day. That's why a good reason for starting with three. This exercise teaches your brain to start looking for the pleasant things, the good things, the things to be grateful for. And as our brains begin to look for them, then we begin to see them more, because we will find what we're looking for. So we will begin to see more of the lovely and the peaceful and the beautiful and the gracious things in our world. As we see them more and more and more, then it fills our hearts, our minds with that sense of, okay, things are better for me. I'm not suggesting we forget what's going on with other people. Remember, this is the foundation. But we are able to help more, we're able to do more when we are strong ourselves. So those are your three things. In the midst of this ugliness and chaos, take care of yourself, and do that by limiting your news exposure, doing something, some sort of movement outside, whether it's walking, biking, or running, something that's outside, and find a way to express gratitude daily. All right, I'm looking forward to talking to you the next few days and coming up with some more things that you can do in the midst of this really ugliness going on in our world. Thanks so much, and bye-bye.